Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. Just got done watching A Good Doctor, and this show amazes me every week. I've said it before and I've said it again. It shows great representation of the autism community. So to recap on tonight's episode, it basically is centered around trying to get this donor liver to a patient at the hospital where Sean works at. So Sean and I believe her name is Jessica. I'm still learning names, but they go to another hospital to get the liver, and apparently the transplant liver, it can't be below 39 degrees, it can't go above 47 degrees. And um Sean's, you could see all through in the car, he's looking at these x-rays. He's like studying them, and he's looking at the liver too, like he's looking for something, and they're trying to assure him that this is a healthy liver. And sure enough, when they look at the liver, they realize that those x-rays were taken before the organ donation. So they see that there's a tumor there, so they actually have to operate like right there on the road. And why it was on the road is because they were getting a ride in a helicopter, and the weather prevented them from going back to the hospital in a helicopter. Because you think a helicopter, from hospital to hospital, that'll be a safe, easy ride. They'll get the liver they need back to the hospital, no problem. Will have inclement weather happen, and then what do? They go down to the hospital where they're at, and all the ambulances are being used, but they find out they could get a police escort, so they have to perform on the road. And not the doctor, the police officer's impressed because he's like, well, this is better than delivering a baby in a car. And he's probably done that at least once or twice. I haven't said that, but I thought that was very impressive. I mean, I've never seen that before. Um, all while Jessica's trying to connect with Sean, trying to figure out how to communicate with him. I kind of hated it though, how they made it look like it was difficult to talk to people with autism. I mean, I have Asperger's. I'm very easy to talk to. I don't see I think it's like a big misconception that people with autism are hard to talk to. We're just like everybody else. We can have conversations with everyone else. I don't know if it's because people are afraid of people that are different, or they're just plain ignorant. But anyway, she's trying to figure out ways to connect with Sean, and um, she finds out that he doesn't respond to questions when she asks questions. So she learned that he doesn't like questions, so she learned to just, talk about asking questions. And what was going on, well, no, before I get to what was going on at the hospital, what I found interesting is that the liver was temperature in the cooler, it was going up. So they go to I guess it was a convenience store. And they try to put these packs of frozen food in there, but it wasn't working. So Sean comes with the idea to put slushy around it because it needs to be surrounded by cool. So that actually did work. It helped brought the temperature down. Um, what's going on at the hospital is that they're trying to save this patient who's basically dying. He's been waiting for a liver this whole time, and I guess they're doing the normal protocol for when you're getting a transplant, and they run tests and they find alcohol in his system. And Melendez and the other doctor are trying to see exactly how much alcohol he had, because he claims he had only one champagne at his daughter's graduation party. But I mean, people can say that, but they might have drank more than they actually said. So they're running more tests, and they're trying to figure out the math of exactly how much he had. And it turns out he was telling the truth. He only did have a glass of champagne, but the consequences is that he may not get that liver now. And because of the rules on the transplant list, you have to be, I don't know if this is the right term for it, but abstinent from alcohol. And he had alcohol at his daughter's graduation party. And this is just my opinion. I so get that I get that he's dying. I get this is his daughter's graduation party, but he was fully aware of the consequences if he drank alcohol. And there's many people, hundreds of people apparently on that list in that area that need a liver that followed the rules. But then, on the other hand, when they're having the meeting, Melendez points out that this liver only has a certain amount of viability left, and this is his patient right now. So they brought up good arguments on both sides. I could definitely see Melendez's point of view this time. And it turns out, because of the fact that he had alcohol, he's now moved to the bottom of the donor registry. And he will in fact die because of that, because he had a complication with and found out that, I think it was blood in his esophagus. I think that's what happened. But he only has about 2 to 3 months to live. So he's basically they're gonna send him home and let him die at home. And his daughter feels guilty because she's the one that gave him the drink in the first place, and now the daughter's gonna have to live with that the rest of her life. That she basically, if she didn't give that drink to her dad, he could have gotten that liver no problem. I get the situation, but it's just like they were very well aware of the consequences. It's like, why? If he didn't have that drink of alcohol, he could have gotten the liver and he could have lived. And it just mind boggles me. And this other doctor, the chief of surgery, who also wants to be the president of the hospital. He's not being really presidential. He's doesn't want Melendez to be his second. I personally don't like Melendez, but if he's, good at his job, why not let him be the second? And he basically doesn't want I guess from what I got, he doesn't want Melendez to take credit. And there's this guy in the hospital that has a hole in his mouth here, and they have to put skin from his leg onto his face to, I guess, reconstruct that. And he's wondering why the hole in his face isn't healing, and the doctor asks him, "Are you smoking? Are you still smoking?" He's like, "Oh, I'm no quitter." I'm like, well, there's your answer. There's never consequence to your actions. I mean, but he's potentially a big donor for the hospital, so they're treating him like royalty in there. We got to see a little bit of Sean's backstory. I would think this is after his brother died, because I didn't see him in the car at all, in the police car, because they were gonna take Sean back to his home, but Sean was threw a fit in the back seat, and rightfully so, because I would not want to go back to an abusive household either. So he actually, saved himself from going back in that toxic environment. So the police had him a slushie, which that's where the whole slushie thing came around, and they're figuring out what to do with him. And we find out that the doctor the president of the hospital, who's, basically took Sean under his wing, we find out that he was the one who took Sean. And so he's been a mentor to him, but he's also been like a second father to him. Like, well, I guess technically the only father he's ever known, because the one that lived at his house, abused him. So I don't look at that as a father. So, we saw that Sean had an early fascination with a medical textbook, and the president of the hospital wanted to encourage that, so he let Sean look at that. And we see that the bright lights and the siren, I think more the bright lights, bothered him. We saw that when him and Jessica were going back to their hospital. So she asked the police officer to turn the lights off, and that's pretty normal. People with autism sometimes have trouble with bright lights and also loud noises. I mean, Jessica wondered about the helicopter. When they were going in the helicopter, if Sean was going to be okay. And he seemed fascinated by the propellers up above. But, yeah, that's definitely a thing. I mean, I know with me personally, loud noises seem to bother me. That's why I've never been to a concert, because the noises it's too much for me. Just like, I don't really go see fireworks for the 4th of July, because the bright lights in the air and the noise I don't like it. I don't enjoy it at all. But we see that Sean actually has a crush on his neighbor. His neighbor needed some batteries, and Sean lent her some, and he tells Jessica that he has a new neighbor, and she's trying to question, like, oh, is she single? Is she pretty? Trying to kind of help him out. And we see that Sean actually, when he comes home from a day at work, he asks for his batteries back, which I thought was, kind of cute. But he introduces himself and then goes home. But what I thought was so heartwarming is that when he first met his neighbor, she noticed a stray cat on his porch, and she said, "Don't feed the cat. He'll keep coming back and he'll love you forever." Well, when Sean came home that day, he opened a can of tuna and let it out for the cat. And sure enough, the cat came back. I'm pretty sure I saw it come back. But it was just amazing to me, because that cat will love Sean unconditionally. That cat's not going to see autism. That cat's going to see Sean for who he is, just Sean. So, yeah, I definitely think it was a good episode. I love this show. If you have autism or have a member in your family or friends that have autism, definitely watch this show. I recommend it. It's amazing. It's probably one of, if not one of, the best new show that's on this year. So, I hope you guys enjoyed my recap of The Good Doctor. And until next time, stay regal.